What's up everybody, my name's Danon and welcome to Ahnestly. Some of you guys have been commenting about how I use my hands and now I feel like self-conscious, but I did learn from the best.
When you want to drive home a point, hand them a sandwich. Try it.
Today we're gonna be, sometimes I review tech products because I think it's gonna get hits. I think a lot of you guys are interested in it, but sometimes I review products because I'm really passionate about it. And with a lot of tech tubers throwing their hats in the ring for the top keyboards of 2020, I decided to throw my hat in as well and review this keyboard because this has been slept on by almost all the big tech tubers, but it is I love this keyboard. This is the Keychron K8. It is a wireless, 10 keyless, a lot of lisses here, mechanical keyboard with so much more to love. Like there's so much to love about this, and I hope you'll stick around and I hope you'll consider this for your next keyboard. This is not sponsored. As a matter of fact, I love this keyboard so much that I actually have two. Let's get honest. So what do I love about the Keychron K8? Well, it's a wireless keyboard, but, and I'm gonna say this with a big but, I have not experienced any detriment using Bluetooth while playing games. And I know that a lot of people are like, oh, latency gonna be an issue. I have not experienced that. More on that in a little bit, but you can also use this as a wired keyboard via USB-C. So you can plug it in, you can switch the tab here to USB, and then you'll have a wired keyboard. So you have the option of going with either one. Now, on top of that, this is a mechanical keyboard, but it's got hot-swappable switches. If you guys don't know what that means, it means that a lot of keyboards come with a switch on it and it's soldered on so that you can't switch it. You have to buy a whole new keyboard. With this, if you buy the MX style board instead of the optical switches, you can switch these switches out with almost any MX style switch out there. Right now, this keyboard has been completely changed. The switches inside are the drop pandas, and this keycap set here is from Ducky. I think it's like the Midnight something set. All the links will be in the description below. But because of that, you can customize this keyboard to be exactly what you want it to be. And when you combine that plus flawless Bluetooth experience, that sold me. And the price point, which I want to surprise you guys with later after I keep telling you guys more about it. So like I mentioned, you can pair it with 3 different devices. Battery life on this thing has been nothing short of amazing. I've had this thing for about a month and a half, and I'm right now on a 2-week stretch. And in that 2 weeks, I'm using it for about 8+ hours a day, and I still have not had to recharge it. So it is fantastic battery life. But the other great thing is that if you have it plugged in, whether using Bluetooth mode or USB-C, you can charge it simultaneously. So that's also a big plus there as well. When it comes to functionality, they've thought about that as well, because most keyboards, most big brand keyboards, $100 plus keyboards, they're all Mac specific or Windows specific. But this keyboard gives you a switch to change between Mac or Windows mode. And not only that, they give you keycaps. You know on the bottom row how Windows and MacBook have it different? I think also up top they've got it different too. They give you keycaps to be able to switch those out to accommodate for a Windows or a MacBook layout. It's just really thoughtful, and being able to do that is just really, I don't know, it's incredible. Like the amount of features is ridiculous. Then we come to the legs, which is another thing that I love. So the legs, it's a really simple plastic pull-out system. It's got a 2-tier system where it's got a shorter leg and a longer leg, and that's huge. And I'm gonna make a big deal out of this because some guys have really screwed this up, and I'm looking at you, drop control keyboards, but they give you, different height adjustments. Some keyboards have given you 3. That would have been nice, but I'm good with 2. It's nice. It's got a little rubber pad on the bottom so it doesn't move around. The drop control which is a more expensive keyboard, has absolutely messed this up by using these really terrible magnetic feet. Anyways, the stabilizers on this keyboard are really excellent. I mean, just listen to this. You're hardly hearing any shake on this long space bar. And that may not seem like a big deal, but on the more expensive Razer, I think it's called Pro Type, it's their new silver white, it's a beautiful looking keyboard. But that keyboard, the stabilizers were so bad, the spacebar shook more than Beyonce. It was ridiculous. So the fact that these stabilizers, the stock stabilizers would be pretty good is a huge thumbs up. On top of that, I was looking for a 10 keyless keyboard that was compact. I didn't want one that was gonna be like, 10 feet long, but I also didn't want one that's going to jam all the keys together that I have to retrain all my finger muscles to be able to hit. And this is the perfect size for me, where you've got the main keyboard in one area, and then you've got a good but very space efficient separation between that and then the 10 keyless, the arrow buttons and the keys above that. So space management wise, this thing is awesome, and there's also no space wasted on the bottom or on the top. This keyboard also comes with backlighting. It comes with white as the default, but you can upgrade it in the options to RGB, and the colors look excellent on this, minus white. White doesn't look really great, but on LEDs, if you have an RGB set of lights, usually white doesn't look great anyway. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about going for the RGB version, but you're just gonna set it to white. That's me. And the lights look really good. The only thing is that if you switch out the keycaps and stuff, you have to get the right keycaps and the right switches, because if you're like me, the drop pandas, and then on this keyboard I have the glorious pandas, you see that these are not translucent. They're or opaque, I don't remember the right word, but they're not see-through. They don't have that clear top, so the RGB doesn't come through as well. And then because I have custom keycaps here, these are not shine through, right? They don't have clear holes here for the light to shine through. So the RGB just kind of shines out through the side and it doesn't look as impressive. So just a quick warning there. And all of this starts with a price tag of $69 US, and on the high end only costs $99 US. Now I know that's not cheap, I know that's not a budget keyboard, I know there are keyboards in the $50 price range, but when you get to that $70 to $150 price range, there is nothing that matches the performance of this keyboard. So we're talking about Bluetooth 5.1, we're talking about hot-swappable key switches, we're talking about RGB lighting, we're talking about the ability to switch between Mac OS or Windows, we're talking about the included keycaps that come with it. It also comes with tools. It comes with a keycap puller and a switch puller if you get the hot-swappable version. It is just awesome. And for someone like me who is looking for a keyboard that I can customize, but not have to solder or desolder, and also not have to break the bank for to get a hot-swappable switch keyboard, this has been really amazing. And the cherry on top, and what I want to get to next, is the gaming performance on this. Now, I'm not gonna go into like actuation points. I'm not a switch expert. I'm not a mechanical keyboard expert. This is a passion video for me, right? But let me just kind of explain to you the things that I've done that have helped me realize that I think Bluetooth, or at least Bluetooth on this keyboard, has arrived, has gotten to the point where you can use it, maybe not for competitive, but for pretty intense gaming. So I play Overwatch. I'm a Hanzo main. Yes, you can sound off about how much you hate me in the comments below. But you know, Hanzo isn't the most mobile, but he's a pretty mobile character. So you gotta constantly be dancing, right? So I'm constantly, pushing the WASD buttons all the time. And I have not played a better Hanzo since then when I picked up this keyboard. I don't know if that sentence actually made sense, but I've been playing a pretty darn good Hanzo, and my friends would agree that they have not seen a performance dip from my keyboard. As a matter of fact, they might actually say my performance has gotten better. I did a couple other tests. I did a blind test where I plugged this keyboard in via USB-C, and then I told my wife, switch the USB or Bluetooth buttons for me. Just don't land it in the middle because that's off. I was like, just switch it for me. I don't care where you put it. And then I came and I sat down and I played, and I could not tell the difference. I mean, it has been ridiculous. And then as kind of the final test, because you can't really, I don't know how to test latency. I looked it up, I Googled it. Maybe I just don't have the tools or the knowledge, but I couldn't figure out how to do a latency test. So instead what I did was, this guy posted a post on Reddit about how he did a reaction test on his keyboard to test the reaction, to test the speed of his keyboard. It would basically go from red to green, and he'd just spam his keyboard and see how quickly his keyboard would actuate and would register a key press. And this is 2 years ago, and he said that his best score on a wired keyboard was 0.22. I think it's seconds, I don't think it's milliseconds, but it was 0.22. On this keyboard, I demolished that score with a score of 0.0 something. I forget what it is, it'll be on the screen. Is that scientific? Is that like the test for, is there latency or no? No, it's not the official test. But when it comes to just, again, my subjective feel, when it comes to my blind testing, when it came to that test, this keyboard seems to just be fantastic, and I don't think you're gonna miss a heartbeat when it comes to Bluetooth. Now there is a caveat, and the caveat is this, is that on my desktop and on my laptop, I believe the Bluetooth chips on those are very, very poor. And here's the thing, my motherboard costs like $500 and my laptop is like over $2,000, right? So it's not cheap equipment. But even on those, I think the Bluetooth controller is really weak because I have wireless buds and headphones, and if I move more than like a foot away from my desktop or a foot away from my laptop, I start having connectivity issues. And it doesn't help that Windows 10 also really sucks when it comes to Bluetooth. So I think you're gonna need, if you don't have a Bluetooth module like my my motherboard did, where I had to screw something on to get better Wi-Fi and Bluetooth connection, you're gonna wanna get an external Bluetooth connector to be able to help with the latency issue. I think a lot of people experience Bluetooth latency on their desktops because the Bluetooth chip is just so bad, or there's just so much electrical interference that it's interfering with the signal here. There are some cons, and this is an Ahnestly review, so we gotta be honest, right? This keyboard, the base keyboard, the non-aluminum version, is very plastic, it's very light, and it's almost hollow. Like, just listen to this. It's like pretty hollow. There is no flex though. It doesn't flex unless you're really trying. It doesn't flex, but it does feel kind of cheap. I personally recommend that everybody get the aluminum version. Now this is $30 more if you get the aluminum bars on the side, but what it does is, even though it's the exact same keyboard, like the back is plastic, the top is plastic, it's the exact same keyboard, what you're getting is these really heavy aluminum bars along the outside perimeter. And it may not seem like much, but the reason why I say that is because by having that, you can actually take those off and you can paint it. So then you have an even more customized keyboard if that's something you're into. It also adds a good amount of weight, and it just makes the keyboard feel a lot more premium. Now, I will say that these keyboards, the hollowness factor, that's something that I think is common when you buy keyboards that are not from major manufacturers like Corsair and stuff. And a fix that a lot of people do with their keyboards is that they pat it down. And what's cool is with the Keychron, sorry guys, with the Keychron, you can take the included foam that comes in the box and you can cut this out, and I'll link a YouTube video over here in the corner where you can watch, and you can basically lay it out inside with double-sided stick tape, and the difference in sound will go from something like this to this. It's like a world difference. Now let me go ahead and do a key type sound from when you have a foam inside and when you don't have foam inside. The next con is that the keycaps that come with this keyboard are not great. These are the keycaps that come with it normally. And they look good, but they're kind of cheap. Like, you start to see a lot of finger smudges on it. And yeah, they're just not super duper high quality keycaps. And again, luckily you can buy really cheap keycaps now for like good quality keycaps for like $30. And it allows you to add further customization to your keyboard. Sorry, I had a brain fart there. And so keep that in mind, the keycaps are just not the best keycaps out there. Another possible con is that getting the switches out of this keyboard was a little bit more difficult. I had no problem on this keyboard here, but on this one, my newer one technically, I had a hard time getting some of them out to the point where I damaged the plastic housing. I don't think it's gonna affect anything functionally, but aesthetically it's like dug in a little bit. So keep that in mind. Again, that was my only experience with this keyboard and not this one here. And then the other thing is, remember I talked about the stabilizers? I was gonna get back to it in a second. Well, the stabilizers, while they don't rattle, they also don't sound like the other keys. Let me do a quick sound test for you so you guys can hear the difference between some of the longer keys with the stabilizers versus the regular keys. The next con is that the right shift just functions a little bit differently than any other shift that I've used. So when I type, I push the shift and the question / button almost simultaneously, and if I do that, I'd say 80% of the time the question mark comes out. But on this keyboard, you have to be pretty deliberate about pushing the shift first and then the /. I'm not talking about like gung gung, I'm talking about like gung like that, versus at the same time or almost at the exact same time. Because if you do it, even if the shift goes down like a millisecond faster, the / will sometimes come out. And that's just been a point of a minor frustration for me. And then the last con is going to be the USB-C port. I don't know why they put it on the side here. I wish they would have put it in the back so that it's less intrusive when you type, or it just looks more pleasing. Because I know people have a lot of custom cables that they like to use with their keyboards. And I think it would have been easier if it was on the top side here, so that, you know, my desktop is on the right, so now I have to have a cable come all the way around to the left side of the keyboard, which just doesn't look that great. But let me know if any of that stuff is a deal breaker for you guys. So the Keychron K8 always says that it's on pre-order, but in my experience, when I ordered it, I got it within 2 weeks. It's always on pre-order, but again, you can get yours, I think, in like 2 to 3 weeks time. It might be different with the holidays up, but luckily Amazon also sells the Keychron K8s with Amazon Prime shipping. I'll link that in the description below because you have to read very carefully because they don't tell you, oh, this is this option, this is this option. You have to find all that in the fine print description, but I'll list out all the different keyboard options from Amazon. Please use those are affiliate links. Okay guys, that's basically it for this video. Let me know if you guys have any questions for me in the comments below, and trying really hard to grow this channel to 15,000 subs before the end of the year. We're so close. Love if you guys could love if you guys could subscribe, like this video, do everything that you need to do. And until next time guys, stay safe. As always, stay honest. I was gonna wish you guys a happy holidays, but I realized I'm gonna see you guys again before then. So yeah, anyways, stay honest.